Thank you very much, everyone, and very good morning to all of you. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of you for participating in this Digital Transformation Summit. Over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to talk about digital transformation and the future of work. Not only that, I'm going to also provide you with a quick synopsis in terms of what's happening globally, in terms of the innovation areas across the different regions, alongside the number of different corporate strategies that have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. So what exactly is digital transformation, and why are we here? Well, there are a number of different industries and possibilities. Just look at the dynamic change that's been happening over the past, I would say 30 years plus, really with the revolution of the computers, with software, with mobile. Just look at the number of things that's happening across the emerging technologies with robotics. Now, for example, a number of years back, a hotel 100% automated by robots. Just look at about the cruise line with given with the pandemic, with the travel. Virtual reality is also an option now for hungry travelers. Autonomous vehicles and electric vehicles, of course, is a major trend, especially in the ESG markets in various countries as well. Just look at the supply chain. Now we're looking at emerging technologies like RFID and blockchain to really make the supply chain more transparent. So companies like Coca-Cola can see from beginning to end where they source their products. Just look at health as well. Fascinating. Within the 6 to 9 months time frame, a vaccine has been generated, mainly because of really the acceleration of AI and also with the modern technologies in the biotech world. And as our prior panelists have called, really about experience as well with the customers. Not only you're not only a bank now, but you are more of an experience center where customers go in and look at you as a bigger brand. So letting our curiosities propel new ways in work is part of digital transformation as well. Just look at in traditional industries.
Eric, could you go full screen, please? We're seeing your presentation, but can you go to full screen mode, please?
Sorry, 1 second. Is it better? Are you able to see this better?
Yes, this is better. Thank you.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Now, let's look at the possibilities and also the curiosities in ways of how industries are being transformed. Let's reimagine, for example, the mining industry, where its safety is a predominant issue. There's a number of different precautions. Reimagining the new ways of work where you can utilize virtual reality into these specific industries are phenomenal. Just look at the human-centered design when you have creating user experiences, creating different types of design thinking. Look at the more connected organization now, where we're not only siloed into a specific region or a specific area, we're in a world that's more global, especially in countries where it's opening up, such as countries in Africa. Look at the bigger social impact, where our prior panel has also talked about a number of inclusions, right, of the actual communities. So the bigger social impact is also being impacted now by digital transformation itself, especially in the areas of fintech and the areas of GovTech, etc. Now, over the next minutes, I'm going to talk about a number of different research as well as why this digital transformation has really excelled. Throughout the past year, 2 years, we have compiled a number of different academic research, interviews and quotations from the leading CXOs from global organizations in various industries. Also firsthand and industry experiences coming from thought leadership across these CXOs as well, which is highlighted in Digital Transformation Accelerated, the essentials of digital transformation and the future of work post-COVID-19. Some of these research and also clients have been in the fintech space across various US as well as global financial firms, and alongside a number of industry-wide company firms in supply chain management, in manufacturing, in healthcare, in retail, and also in the restaurant industries. So as part of the agenda, we're going to talk about 5 distinct areas. One, what is the digital shift? The digital shift involves transforming an organization and the ways of working, meaning more digital, more customer focused. So what are the ways and how we shift in terms of the digital transformation? 2, what are some of the leading industry trends and challenges that are shaping the needs for the transformation? For example, customers are needing this, technology are propelling it. 3, the future of the workplace, meaning both human and technology centric, and how individuals, organizations, as well as countries now need to shape themselves in order for each of those particular stakeholders to enact and also to capture the different work environments and the future of work itself. 4, we'll talk about the action plan, meaning that there are 6 distinct key areas through the research that have been really differentiating both the individuals, the organizations, as well as the countries in terms of where and how some of these leading insights and thought leaderships will transform via digital leaderships. And then finally, we'll wrap up in terms of overall best practices and the approach considerations as part of digital transformation itself. So before we go into what digital transformation is, it's not new, right? We talked about the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution really started from the first, the steam revolution. The second industrial revolution is electricity. The third, not too long ago, is the internet, which has propelled in terms of the access and the data. The fourth industrial revolution, as we are embarking now in terms of this journey, is what we see in the future today. Right, meaning the emerging technology that will transform a number of different industries worldwide. The speed of technology now, in terms of digital transformation, has really propelled. What we can also reflect back into is what we call the Moore's Law, right? Computers is now in the palm of our hands. We have insurmountable amount of data, right? We're talking about a transaction that could be done in seconds, whereas years before, it needs to be abundance of paperwork, as well as probably going into take days to transact a specific transaction. Quantum supremacy also reimagine different possibilities to make impossible possible, right? Which Google actually has fulfilled. In other sense, also emerging industries such as e-games, such as virtual reality, have really transformed a number of different types of fiction type of industries into realistic industries now. So like I mentioned before with the example, cruise line industries are now transforming, especially hotel and hospitality, are transforming various industries into virtual reality. E-games and digital world are industries now created because of digital transformation itself. The largest companies now are also mostly digital. Just think about Airbnb. They're the largest operator in terms of rooms. They own no physical space. Just look at Alibaba, the world's largest B2B e-commerce. They own no stores. Uber, the largest taxi sharing company, owns no cars. Tesla, the largest company technically in the world, owns no cars itself. Right? And it's not a car company, it's considered a technology company. Now, where do we go from here in terms of the transformation and how this impacts not only organizations, but also countries itself? Just look at the dynamic transformation by the numbers itself. In the next 2 years, it's going to be a 2.3 trillion global market in terms of the transformation that's happening across organizations as well as countries. You're seeing now countries like China going into digital currencies. You're seeing countries going into specific AI initiatives, trillion-dollar markets. Here, large-scale transformations are happening. 1 million users every day are going online. 300 billion global market in terms of e-commerce digital spend, marketing spend that is catering to these new customers that are coming in and day out as part of this digital revolution. The digital adoption of these technologies are also real as well, and they have been accelerated by the pandemic. You're looking at 85%, if not 75% for over a lot of these digital technologies revolve around data. big data analytics, a lot of app-enabled web markets, as our prior panel has discussed, in terms of utilizing various APIs in a more connected world. So again, Internet of Things, app web-enabled markets, especially opening up new markets in countries like Africa, India, countries in the various EMEA markets are very important to the acceleration of the digital adoption itself. Then, of course, over 3/4 of these companies are now migrating over to the cloud. You're seeing also 1/3 of the companies are now integrating AI or artificial intelligence strategies into their overall plan. Not only that, you're seeing a lot of incubators, accelerators, as well as a sponsored type of government involvement now to accelerate these digital technologies such as cloud, Internet of Things, 5G, for example, artificial intelligence, quantum computing. And then you're seeing countries now also initiating in blockchain and distributed ledger, especially from the cryptocurrency space. So what is really digital transformation? Digital transformation, as our prior panel had talked about, it's more than technology itself, right? It's about the people, it's about data, it's about the culture, innovation, technology, customers itself, personalization. Just think about how Nike has transformed, right? Nike is the global manufacturing company for sneakers and for sportswear. Now Nike is more than a manufacturing of sneakers, right? They are a digitally transformed company, catered to innovation, catered to personalization, catered to data, absurd amount of data that actually they can take and transform themselves into much more of a digital friendly type of next generation user consumer. So when we talk about digital transformation, we need to talk about the 3 main pillars. We talk about technology quite often. We talk about processes, improving processes via robotics, for example, or accelerating your innovation journey utilizing cloud or utilizing artificial intelligence. But most people don't think about digital transformation as empowering the people, right? That is equally even more important than the two, the technology and the process, because without the people, without the right mindset, without the right skill in transforming your business, those two, technology and processes, are just going to be byproducts, right? People itself and empowering them with the right tools, the right mindset, the right skill set are important in terms of the digital transformation journey. Now, as we mentioned, COVID-19 has really accelerated the digital transformation areas. We have Satya Nadella had mentioned that digital transformation has accelerated mainly about 5+ years or even more because of the pandemic. He has seen more digital transformation over the past year than he has seen the past 5 to 10. Similarly, IBM CEO has mentioned that because of the COVID and pandemic, artificial intelligence now has really been accelerated. Now, every company in the world and also even countries now need to invest heavily in what we call artificial intelligence, because that will be the next sort of revolutionary phase in specific emerging technologies that will impact industries and organizations overall. And some of these immediate cores are going to be process efficiencies, asset utilization, servicing, innovation, change management, and continuous learning, building those capabilities, building those partnerships. Hence, you're seeing a lot of, for example, a lot of fintechs partnering with banks, incumbents also needing and hungry for new technologies and new ways of thinking are partnering with these startups. Government institutions, educational schools are partnering with edtech firms, because these are firms and companies now are revolutionizing their new ways of thinking and delivering mobile technologies, delivering e-commerce technologies, delivering content. So the digital future readiness are not only for organizations and people now, they're more in a macro level view and the transformation of that view. Now, before we jump in also, we talked a lot about digital transformation itself. Digital transformation is also about how organizations are capable and acceptable to change. we've heard a lot of different stories about incumbents in the industries that have dominated prior years. For example, Blockbuster was the leader in DVDs, and they were certainly depended by Netflix. Nokia, for example, it owned 90% of the mobile market in the 1980s, 90s. Now they're only less than 10% in single digits, usurped by, of course, Google, Apple, and Samsung, the likes. Culture and strategy in terms of organization is very important, because culture, as Peter Drucker mentioned, the famous management guru, culture is strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Without culture, you cannot initiate growth, change, performance, innovation, or even execution. The importance for all organizations, that when we had conducted our research, there was one thing that was really key in terms of separating those organizations and countries with those that are lagging behind. And one of the key differentiating factors is growth and culture mindset. And what is that? Well, they value in terms of what we call innovation. They have a longer term vision in mind. They understand their roadmap, as well as the people and the skill sets that they need to absorb, as well as they dabble in technology, but also they are really keen in terms of investing into specific areas of growth, and also investing in their people in continuous learning, as well as identifying their customers via different types of mediums and channels in order for them to capture that transformation journey. Now, as organizations, countries shift, the workforce is also shifting as well. Automation, again, has reshifted many particular jobs, especially in manufacturing. The slide that you see here is mainly from the McKinsey Global Institute, MGI, in partnership with the World Economic Forum. Shifting of the workforce is accelerating, especially during this pandemic. 20 million jobs have been lost due to automation, due to manufacturing. Just look at the new manufacturing centers that are being built. For example, IKEA, the famous Swedish furniture company. They are building a next generation manufacturing company, but with very little, again, humans, mostly from robots, mostly from utilizing a lot of different types of technology in their specific warehouses. And not only that, they're shifting automation and AI, or artificial intelligence, into these specific processes. So again, what does it mean for the future workforce? Well, workforce is moving away from physical and manual skill sets and labors into these cognitive type of skills, higher cognitive skills, social emotional skills, as well as technology skills. So if we as organizations, as well as countries, we need to prepare ourselves in terms of this dynamic shift, shifting away from the traditional world, what we saw before, into the real world where it's happening and is happening today. Now, you're going to ask which skills are needed and why. Well, the future is going to be a combination of soft and hard skills. The greater need for the combination of both cognitive and emotional skills are going to be important. So countries, emerging countries especially, like in the Southeast, African Sahara countries, EMEA countries as well, Asia, some of the Asian countries. We're looking at some of the emerging countries that are coming in the European world. The combinations of the skill sets are going to be important, not only for the organizations, but for the countries now to invest in their people and also to invest in the organizations. And the demand for higher cognitive skills such as creativity, entrepreneurship, innovation are keys. Social and emotional skills such as leadership, service orientation, social influence, and also management are also key as well in terms of the new workforce environment due to digital transformation. And then you're going to see a number of different workforce drivers. You're seeing this in a number of different countries already, where you're going to have offer apprenticeships, right, with countries that are heavily reliant on specific industries or specific areas like raw materials, manufacturing, mining, for example, oil dependent industries. crops dependent industries. They're offering and transitioning themselves as organizations, but also throughout the supply chain with the help of government in terms of reinventing the workforce. And how do they reinvent the workforce? Is by upskilling and reskilling them, right? What's happening now is actually, as in one example, is in Southeast Asia and in China. A lot of the dynamic shift that's happening because of autonomous vehicles is that millions of their taxi drivers as well as their bus drivers are reshifting away. Well, where are they reshifting them to? They're reshifting to other industries or that are accelerating. For example, mobile homes, mobile technology, they're shifting them to educational institutions, they're reinventing themselves from particular taxi drivers into other specific areas that they're going to need, right, with the help and sponsorship of government institutions. In terms of innovation and learning, one key important aspect, as we talked about the growth and the digital mindset, is that every innovation happens in different phases. We start from a phase where we innovate, we then improve, and we optimize. And then we sort of shift down and start lagging behind. The reinventing phase is also very, very key in terms of what we had learned from many, many industries and also from talking to a number of different clients. You accelerate your journey by relooking and reinventing and always be curious in terms of how you innovate and what you innovate to. One of the key factors here, as we had talked about in terms of digital transformation and the future of work and how organizations and also countries and startups and partnerships with these incumbents of these organizations and countries, technology may be new. However, the learning process is not. The only thing that can stop you is the actual possibilities and the curiosity that you limit yourselves with. So again, innovation and learning for these particular countries are important because now you're opening up the world to the possibilities itself and the various industries now that all of you can cross-share and cross-collaborate. Now, as I wrap up, there were 6 common consolidated themes that came from these research and interviews itself. We call this action, ACTION. And of course, A is being adaptable and being agile. The ability to identify, acknowledge, and quickly adapt to the changing environment, and especially in this case, what we call the VUCA environment, the volatile, uncertain, and ambiguous. Collaborative culture. Culture is always about the people, right? As we had learned from many of the different prior speakers, is that having a collaborative culture is important because the people itself is very important. The people itself drives the direction as well as the success of the organization and the country overall. The tone at the top, communication is also important. You need to have a specific leader, but also someone in the mindset that can drive you and steer you to the right direction. And also, I is being innovative, of course. Organizations that foster innovation and invest in innovation, or countries that invest in innovation, will be much better fare in the coming years versus those that do not, right? As simple as that. Those that also offer partnerships as well as open considerations in terms of collaboration with other countries and other organizations itself will come up fairer better in terms of innovation. Organizational behavior was part of the O. Mindset, behavior, very important, as we had discussed, right? That growth, culture, mindset, and that organizational change in order for you to make that specific step in moving forward towards digital transformation and that journey. And then finally, new technologies. There's new business propositions, new supply chains, new reinventing of processes, cross collaborations with startups, with emerging technologies into your organization as well as country are key. So you're seeing a transitional shift now in not only organizations, but also countries now as a whole, shifting into new emerging technologies due to various factors, social impact like climate change. You're seeing a lot of different types of technologies with the social impact sector, the fintech space with contactless transactions, with seamless seamless payments. So all these are driven off of new technologies. And then you can only see blockchain, for example, real-time settlements in financial services, clear supply chain in terms of transparency, utilizing robotics across various industries such as mining in reinventing the role of safety. So all these now are real consolidated themes that are happening across in some organizations as well as countries can utilize this blueprint, ACTION, in order for them to excel the digital transformation journey itself. Okay. As I wrap up, there's one thing to take back, right? We are always in a continuous learning culture. Today, we not only need to empower our customers, but also our employees, as well as overall in a macro level view, almost every stakeholder in terms of identifying what's possible and not limit ourselves in terms of what's not impossible. So in order for us to sort of propel in the next years to come, there's a lot of excitement in digital transformation. There's also a lot of excitement in terms of what's happening globally in the macro environments as the world becomes not only siloed to a degree, but open up in terms of greater possibilities. So with that said, thank you all for your time and also really love to talk about in terms of any questions or things that you all have